In today's video, I want to talk about Pinterest versus Google. So let's once and for all set the record straight on what's better to get people to your blog, Pinterest or Google. What works best for beginners and what are the advantages for each of the search platforms. Hi there, my name is Katie of whatskatieupto.com and I'm a Swiss blogger and YouTuber. I teach passionate online entrepreneurs like you how you can use Pinterest to grow your blog and business. And before we jump in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bell below so you don't miss any of my videos. I post a new video about Pinterest and blogging every Tuesday. So, what is Pinterest? What is Google? What are search engines? Why are they important for blog traffic? And what works best for beginners and what doesn't? Are you new to search engines and you just want to attract people to your blog, but you just don't know how? Maybe you thought once you launched your blog or website, people would kind of just magically show up. Now they didn't and you are stuck. You're hearing about all these different kinds of ways to grow traffic, but you don't have time to do it all. So in today's video, I'm going to have the ultimate battle between Google and Pinterest. Now, before we jump in, make sure you grab yourself access to my free blogger resource library. It contains over 30 plus blogging and Pinterest related downloads you can access immediately once you grab your password. Grab your free Pinterest guides, checklists, cheat sheets, and so much more so that there's nothing in the way of your Pinterest success. Find the link to the free library in the description below. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so first of all, what are search engines? Now, a search engine is a tool that you can access online where you can type in a search keyword or a short search phrase. Now, based on your search term, the search engine will give you results. And these results can be blog posts, articles, videos, images, or anything that makes sense based on your search interest, right? And now, why is this important for bloggers and businesses? Well, when I first started my blog, I thought once I launched the blog and hit publish on my first blog post that people would just find me and magically show up. Well, they did not. It's like in real life. You can throw a party, but if you forget to send out your invitations with the proper address, no one's going to show up. So we as bloggers and businesses with websites, we need to show up online. And again, people use these search engines to scroll the web and find your site, because otherwise, how are they going to know about you? They type in a keyword into a search engine and the search engine shows them relevant content that could help them with their search query, right? Now, you want to show up with your content and products when someone types in a keyword that's relevant to your content. So something like start a blog. That's when you want to show up with your content online. So this could be searches for products or solutions for a problem or just anything that people want to know. And this is how you get people onto your site. So once they find something they're interested in, they click on the result and then they're redirected to your site or your blog. Okay, now there are many search engines out there and the most used one in the world is Google, right? But you know that if you've been watching my videos, I'm in love with another search engine. Yes, you're right, Pinterest. Now, Pinterest is a visual search engine and you can use it similarly to Google to get tons of people to your site. So now is the question, which one should you use? Which one is better for you and your dreams and plans? And most importantly, which one should you focus on and which is going to bring you the most traffic? So let's jump into the 10 most important differences between Pinterest and Google you need to consider before you invest your time into your blog and business. Okay, so first of all, let's look at who uses Pinterest and who uses Google. So we're talking about our ideal blog reader and the demographics on each platform. Now, if you're a business or a blogger, I highly encourage you to first find out who you want to attract to your site in the first place. There are billions of people online and you don't need everybody on your site, right? You want to attract people who are actually interested in what you're talking about or selling. Knowing who's on Pinterest versus who's mainly using Google, so the demographics, will give you a ton of information about where you should start first. Okay, so first of all, Google dominates search online and handles over 88% of all desktop searches in 2020. Now, Google processes over 4 50,000 searches per second, which is mind-blowing. So I can't even think about it. So it's really hard to say this or that demographic is on Google when 1/8 of the world's population is on Google. Now, bottom line, I think it's fair to say your ideal customer or blog reader is among people who use Google. But let's have a look at Pinterest now. Who's on Pinterest? So as of now, there are over 478 million people who use Pinterest every month to find ideas and inspiration. And more than 60% of Pinterest users are female. But men and young Generation C pinners are actually catching up and are growing by 40% every year. Also, according to Omnicore agency, 70% of Pinterest users have a college degree and 80% of US mothers who use the internet are on Pinterest. So what does that mean for your blog and business? First of all, you can see compared to Google, there are way less people on Pinterest than on Google. Obviously, there's a ton of opportunity on Google as it's just simply used by so many. On Pinterest, on the other hand, you can be more specific with who you want to attract. Pinterest becomes especially interesting if your main audience is female, even though men are catching up, and if you're looking for people with a higher income. Okay, so now that we know who uses each platform, how do these people actually behave and find content on each platform? So how does the search on Pinterest and Google work, and how do these people use Pinterest and Google to actually find stuff? So we are talking about visual versus text search. So let's go on Google first. On Google, you go straight to the search engine and you type in your keyword or key phrase. Google works great if you already know a little bit about what you're looking for. So for a specific problem you have, or you're looking for a specific site or brand online, Google shows you the results in text. Sometimes there's also images or video results, but most results are websites that rank for that specific search term. Google is best if you know exactly what you're looking for, like for example, Nike shoes, or you're looking for the new Nike shoe collection 2021. And you're already a fan of Nike and you love the brand and you know that you want a shoe that is from this specific brand. You don't need inspiration, you need a quick answer right now. Now, Pinterest works a little bit differently. First, you can also type in a keyword into the search bar here, but instead of showing you text-based result, it shows you images or video content. Now, this is great if you're looking for inspiration instead of something very specific, like a specific brand or the answer to a specific question. So you're still looking for running shoes, but you don't know which brand to buy from or what's out there. That's where Pinterest really trumps Google. You can now go ahead and save those images or videos to your profile to use later. So again, when you think about your blog or your business and how you can attract people from either platform, think about who you're attracting and how these people behave on each platform, and then try to understand what makes more sense for your business. Okay, let's talk about what are people searching for on each platform. So we're talking user intent a little bit more in detail and the interaction with each platform. So I've mentioned this in the previous post. Why do we use Google? So for example, me, I use Google to find an answer to a specific question. So for example, what's the current exchange rate between Swiss francs and US dollars, right? Very specific. Or I could type in something like, what is the best baby nursing pillow? Or I'm looking for a specific brand like Anthropology. Now on Pinterest, on the other hand, they call themselves a visual discovery engine. And it's exactly that. People are on Pinterest to discover, to find ideas, to find inspiration and make plans. This means compared to Google, people on Pinterest haven't made up their mind yet. So you can see it here. 97% of all searches on Pinterest are unbranded, so not specific to a company yet. It's where you start a new project or just find inspiration. As Pinterest gives you visual search results, this attracts people with a different search intent. So let's make an example. Let's say I am renovating my kitchen, but I have no clue where to start or the style I want to renovate it in. The place to start is Pinterest, and you can see why here. If I type something like kitchen style ideas into Google, it's gonna give me a few images, but then it's gonna give me a list of posts with ideas, but it's a list of text-based results. This is not giving me inspiration or ideas. I would have to click through to these sites where I can actually find inspiration. Now, if we compare that search to the search on Pinterest, all I see here are visuals and visual inspiration. I can save all kinds of kitchen ideas until I finally start seeing a trend and I figure out what actually is my style that I want for my new kitchen. I am going from inspiration to a planning phase on Pinterest. So I learn what my style is. I learn which colors I want. I learn what materials I want from seeing all these examples. And then once I'm clear on that, I actually head over to Google and I'm gonna go on Google and type in something more specific, like hardware stores close to Zurich, where I can actually buy the things that I saw specifically on Pinterest as inspiration, and I know exactly what I want to buy now, and that's when I use Google. Now, this is so important to understand for your business or blog. Where do you want to reach people? In that inspiration and planning phase, or in the phase where people already have made up their mind? Okay, so let's talk about where you can actually get more traffic from. So let's talk about traffic volume from Pinterest versus traffic volume from Google. So where can we actually get the most traffic from? And the answer is, it for sure depends. Now, as there are so many people using Google, you can potentially see a ton of traffic from Google. But the thing is that you need to rank high for those keywords in search. So Google displays sites ranking for the same keyword in a hierarchy. And you can see here the stat that says that more than 34% of all desktop and more than 28% of all mobile traffic goes to the site which ranks on the first spot on Google. So if you're ranking for a specific keyword on place 1, you can expect a ton of traffic if people are looking for that keyword. And once you do rank with your site on Google, you can expect a steady amount of high traffic that doesn't fluctuate a lot, and it's really, really amazing. Now, on Pinterest, your pins also rank in search. So if you type in something like best keto snacks, these are the top performing pins here. Now, just as I mentioned in the beginning, instead of showing you text, it just shows you images. Now you can open up one of those pins, and if you're interested, boom, you're redirected to that site as well. And if you know about Pinterest SEO, you can actually achieve a very good position on Pinterest with your pins, gaining a ton of traffic, and it's a lot easier to rank on Pinterest than it is to rank on Google. So that's a plus for Pinterest. But Pinterest traffic can fluctuate more as it's more viral, and I'm gonna go into more detail into both of those points. But both Pinterest and Google work great for blog and website traffic, but it may be harder to rank on the first position on Google as it is to rank on Pinterest, but both Google and Pinterest work great for traffic. So let's say you're a beginner. What works better, Pinterest or Google? Now, Google uses many factors to determine whether it should rank your site high or low in their search results, such as the age of your website or your domain authority. Now, if you're a young site, so under a year old, Google usually does not trust you, so they are very unlikely to rank your site high in search. Plus, they look at your domain authority, so they give you a number out of 100, which is made up of how old your site is, how many other sites link to your site, so backlinks and all kinds of things. Now, if you're trying to rank for a keyword with a domain authority of 5 versus a site with a domain authority of 80 for the same keyword, you're going to have a hard time. Now, on Pinterest, Pinterest has actually never come out and said that they are evaluating a Pinterest account with a specific number, such as Google is. But many people actually assume that they are doing it at the back. So yes, a more established account could have more authority to rank with pins on Pinterest as well. But the thing is, I've seen it time and time again that pins of brand new sites with just amazing content rank in the first few pins on Pinterest search. In my opinion, Pinterest works a lot better than Google for younger sites, even though yes, it's still a good idea to try and grow your account and improve it and keep Google at the back of your mind. But as a beginner, Pinterest is definitely the place to hang out. So what actually works better for bloggers? Now, both Google and Pinterest can work great for bloggers, and here's why. As I mentioned, on Google, you want to grow your domain authority and you want to rank for certain keywords. And the more content your website has in a specific niche and the more of an expert you become, so a one-stop shop for that topic, the better Google will rate your site. Now, as a blogger, you're creating a ton of valuable content around one topic. This means more pages and posts you can add keywords to, and more pages and posts that other sites can link to. This is why some businesses even start a blog on top of their business site, just to create more content that can rank on Google. So if you build up a blog with loads of valuable content in one niche, Google can be massive for bloggers. Now, Pinterest is a blogger's secret weapon, especially if you're in a very visual niche like home decor, fashion, food, lifestyle, or travel. Now, as a blogger, your work is to create new content that you can share online. And because Pinterest is a mix between a social media and a search engine, Pinterest wants fresh, new, inspirational ideas all the time. And a big focus is on new content rather than content with a lot of domain authority like on Google. So as long as you're creating new content regularly, you can see massive success on Pinterest as a blogger. And remember, it's easier to grow on Pinterest if you're brand new than on Google. On Pinterest, it's about the newest and best ideas. But what about if you're a business? What actually works better if you're a business, Google or Pinterest? Now, as a business, I would definitely recommend you learn about how to rank on Google and how to get people to your site from there. As people come with a very specific search intent, it's likely they are in a shopping mindset, right? So you want to show up with your site on Google when someone types in a keyword that is most relevant for your business. Anthropology, vase with flowers. So very specific searches. Now, Pinterest is actually very heavily investing in businesses. They are currently focusing a ton of their attention on businesses and e-commerce to make it easier to bridge that gap between inspiration, what they're all about, and actually purchasing straight on Pinterest. But the cool difference on Pinterest is that almost 90% of all searches are unbranded. So if you're a brand new business or your brand is not very well known, so someone won't type in your brand website like Anthropology specifically into Google to find you, you can now actually compete on Pinterest against these big brands with your products, as people haven't made up their mind yet, and you don't have to convince someone who clearly wants to buy from Anthropology to buy your vase from your shop instead. For businesses, I would highly recommend you check out both platforms. Okay, as I've mentioned before, let's talk a little bit more about Google SEO versus Pinterest SEO. And SEO stands for search engine optimization, and it's the specific tactics you use to optimize your site, your content, your account to make your content show up higher in the search results on Google as well as on Pinterest. Now, let's first of all talk about Google. And Google SEO is very complicated, and I'm not gonna lie, it's not my forte at all. I've taken Mike Pearson's course called Stupid Simple SEO, and he has helped me a ton to get my blog onto Google and actually rank. But there's tons and tons of factors going into who ranks and why, and I could never cover it in this video. I will link to the course on SEO for bloggers in the description below if you want to check it out. But once you actually do get the hang of SEO and your site ranks on Google, there isn't much better than actually Google traffic because it's very targeted and very consistent. You can check out Stupid Simple SEO if you want to learn more in the description box below, and I highly recommend the course. Now, when it comes to Pinterest SEO, again, it's much easier than Google. There's less factors going into why your pins rank. Now, I'm saying easier for a reason. I'm not saying easy. You still have to make sure your account is optimized, your pins are optimized, that your you're creating killer content on your site to rank high on Pinterest. But the Pinterest algorithm is much younger than the Google algorithm, so it's much easier and faster to rank on Pinterest than on Google. I've got a full video on how to use Pinterest SEO. If you want to learn more, just click here on top. All right, let's talk about seasons and virality on Pinterest and on Google. Now, as I've mentioned before, Google traffic, once you get it, is great. It's very consistent and high. Once you rank with a post on Google, it's not going to flip-flop on a daily basis. Now, this is obviously great, as you can expect a certain amount of people to visit your website every day, every week, every month, once you rank. But on the other hand, it's much less seasonal or viral, which is a good and a bad thing. As it can take some time to rank on Google, your post might already be out of season or your sale already over until your post actually ranks. So it's not a particularly good strategy if you're a blogger and you want to push out content that's seasonal or viral during that specific time to Google. But it's a great idea to show up with your evergreen content. Now, Pinterest is very viral and very seasonal on the other hand. Now, this means that you can use this to your advantage. Once a pin goes viral, you can see a huge traffic spike in a day. So hundreds, if not thousands of visitors to your site in a single day. This is a secret that bloggers use to grow massive traffic to their sites. As a blogger, you can create seasonal content that just goes viral during these seasons on Pinterest. But then also it goes away quite quickly when the season is over. But it's definitely a huge opportunity when it comes to Pinterest because your posts are distributed in real time to your followers once you post that pin to Pinterest. So just be aware of those differences. Okay, and finally, let's talk about content lifespan on Pinterest versus Google. So once you create a post, how long can you actually expect people to be interested in that post and to find that post on each platform? On Google, your post can live on for a long time and rank high on Google for years if you keep updating the post and if it's relevant. On Google, the most important thing is that the content is high in value, you cover every angle, and you keep your post up to date. The same goes for Pinterest pins. They can live on for years and years. I've still got pins that bring in traffic to my site, which are a couple of years old. But Pinterest is now also focusing on fresh content a lot, so newer content getting more distribution than old pins. But both search engines are very good when it comes to the shelf life of your content. And just compare that to other content on social media, where no one cares about what you posted yesterday. It's all about what you're posting today, and it's very fast paced. All right, that was it. I hope you know now exactly what the difference is between Pinterest and Google and how each of those search engines have a place in your overall blog strategy. Remember, it takes time to build traffic, and depending on the niche you're in, you have to make sure you're clear on how much traffic you can expect and how fast you grow. So that's it from me for today. If you have any questions, leave a comment below and I will get back to you ASAP. Also, don't forget that this video is sponsored by my free resource library. You can grab your password to the library on my blog and get access to 30+ free downloads teaching you all about blogging and Pinterest. Grab your free Pinterest PDF guides, cheat sheets, checklists, and more on my blog. I've put the link to the free library in the description below. And before you leave, don't forget to hit that subscribe and bell notification below so you don't miss any of my videos. I post a new video about Pinterest and blogging every Tuesday. Now that's it from me for today, and I will see you next week. Tschüss!